Hello everyone, it's Diane and I have a journal to share with you. This is a custom order which is going to Hong Kong. I have a very sweet customer that has purchased several journals from me, and she selected this book cover when I showed my book covers, and another one, a smaller one. So I'm going to make them both and get them both sent off to her together. Since it's going to Hong Kong, we want to try to save on shipping costs. So I have this one done, and it's the rust-colored cloth covered book cover that had the little tiny gold owl in there. And so my vision for this book was to do a woodlands or nature theme, and she agreed with that. So that's what I did here. And Rose, I hope that you really like this book because I kind of fell in love with it. I do have a couple of questions for you though as I go through the book options. So to tie it closed, I just took some torn strips of muslin and stitched them together and just tied it around the book. It has three signatures. I didn't count the pages. And I like the spine the way it is, but here's one of my questions for you, Rose. If you want me to cover it with this lace, I will do that. That's pretty also. So it depends on what you want. I used my Cricut and my cartridge called Elegant Edges and made this beautiful little frame out of some gold paper that I had on hand, since the owl was done in gold, and I thought that was perfect to just kind of accent the cover. I didn't put a title on it or anything. I just let the owl be alone there. So inside, there's this pocket that I made out of a page from a Cane Company Smash book, which was just a close-up picture of a cross-section of a tree trunk. So I thought that was neat. So, and then there's just polka dot paper behind it, and then the tag, and the story begins. I have to put the little emblem on there that says this book belongs to. Now here's something different that I tried, and I was totally inspired by Jabid Neri on YouTube, and I will link her channel below. I was kind of at a loss when I started making this book. I was accumulating papers, and I had coffee dyed them, and I was cutting papers and things, and once I got that part done, I really didn't even know where to begin. So I just remembered what Jabid had done with tissue paper, and so I just started playing around with the alcohol inks that I have. And I'm kind of addicted to this, so I only have some browns and I think a turquoise or teal or something that someone had given to me, and I haven't even really done that much with them. But I went to Amazon and ordered some more colors because I had so much fun doing this. So here's just a scrap of the tissue paper, and what I did was I had cut out this oval frame with my Cricut, so I used this middle part to trace around the tissue and then cut it a little bit larger than that, and I also used that to trace around on the paper and cut a hole out. I just used my little scissors to cut a hole out of the paper, and then I glued the tissue paper to this side and then covered up the edges with the frame. And this is just a cutout from a nature magazine, or a nature book, and then a little bit of trim here. I really love that, and I'm going to be using this technique in some more books. So thank you, Jabid, for that technique. And I know this isn't exactly the way she does it. She stitches around, and I'm going to try that in the next book that I use it on too, because I really like that look also. My next question for you, Rose, is on these frames. I just thought they looked rather plain, and I thought about just using a marker and drawing tree bark lines on them, but I didn't want to ruin it. It's already glued down. If I was going to try that, I would have tried it before gluing them down. So that's up to you if you want me to do this. I mean, I think it would be all right. It's just wavy lines and some knot holes, and I can do that. So I just want you to tell me if you want me to do that, Rose, because there are 3 of these in the book. Okay, moving on. Just some lined paper here and some wavy stitching along the edge. You can see it better on this page. And I forgot the name. I'm going to have to put that down below. But I found these lined papers with trees, tree branches and trees on the lined papers, and they're just gorgeous. And you get quite a few. I don't remember how many. It's either 6 or 8 or something like that, images. So I used that. I cut the patterned paper to size, to my size of my copy paper, 8.5 by 10, and then put it in my printer and printed on the back with this tree pattern. And so these pages did not get coffee dyed. The copy paper, the printer paper, got coffee dyed. There are tabs, fabric tabs, which I think look nice. And I just used this little fox stamp there. I got to use my wildlife fabric, my Woodlands animals fabric, which I absolutely love. There's a little chipmunk here and a rabbit, and then just another scrap of fabric and a piece of trim. And for the lined paper, I just tore it and then inked it around the edges and then zigzag stitched it on. This is from a nature book. And there's just a strip of patchwork fabric stitched on the edge of that fabric, or that paper, and then here's another one of the images. So I like that it's got a design on it, but it's also got lines, so it's great for journaling. There's a little owl stamped up there. This is an image I found online when I searched on Google Images for woodland images. I did have a hard time finding images. A lot of it was photographic, which I didn't want, and then a lot of it was cartoony, but this was really pretty. So I used that and stitched some trim along the edge, and it's a pocket. And this page got the last little remnant of this embroidered lace that I have. And this is a page of mushroom digitals that I think I got from Digital Magpie. I'm not sure, but I'll link that below. So I stitched these to coffee dyed paper and just tucked them in the pocket. This is from Ephemera's Vintage Garden, and it's Woodland Wings. Really pretty and nice bright colors. There's a lot of browns and tans in this book, so this helps brighten the color, or brighten the book up with these colors. And the pages are smaller than this book. This is a good sized book. So I just used them in the center. This is one page, and I folded it and just put it in the center of the signature, and the stitching is in there. So I glued it shut after I stitched it. And then this is just a large index card that was coffee dyed, and I trimmed it a little bit so it would fit in there. And there's a little duckling and then a little pull tab glued on. I should probably measure this book. It's about 6 by 9. So it's a good size book. And on this page is owls, from this sheet of owls, which I believe is also Digital Magpie. I use these owls in my Harry Potter journals too. So there, he's stitched onto a piece of scrapbook paper, and a little piece of ribbon is stitched on there. I folded the top down to make it a little stronger there. And this is just a little cutesy stamp that I have, and if you think it's too cutesy for this journal, you can take this card right out. But I love this stamp. I've had it for a long time. It's from Stampin' Up, and it's a little lady frog holding a jar of flies that she's selling, and it says "Time's fun when you're having flies," which is really cute because it's a play on the quote, "Time's fun, time flies when you're having fun." So anyway, I just had to put that in there. And if you don't like it, Rose, you can take it out. There's a little bunny there. It reminds me of Thumper. Another one of the tree papers. Here's a nature book page with some fabric and a little rosette from the lace on there. This is just lined paper. I just sewed this piece on that I punched out of craft cardstock for a decorative element, and that would be a nice place to just make note of the date. And some French mushrooms, and this one is from the Digital Magpie because I have that right here. It's called French mushrooms. So I have several of these in here. And here's a little card, little vintage card with some bunnies and mushrooms. Fabric tab, little bird stamp. Coin envelope that I distressed, and I put some of this crinkled up and inked craft paper on, and I just put a little journaling card inside. There's a piece of Tim Holtz ephemera here, and another one of those mushroom tags stitched to coffee dyed paper tucked in the back. This is a piece of vintage linen that had a butterfly embroidered on it, and this little lace off the edge, which is gorgeous. And so I cut into this piece of linen. I've been buying these linens and really not using them because I'm waiting to make a fabric and lace covered journal, or 2 or 3 or 4. But I also want to use pieces of them in my other journals, so I did that in this journal. This is a fox I found on my search for woodland images. I thought he was nice. And here's some of the French mushrooms. Instead of cutting those 2 cards apart, I just turned them into a little book. And these are scraps of this nice craft colored paper. There's a piece of it. I got this from Lori Jagadish's Etsy shop, the Everyday Journal. So I forgot how many sheets you get, but it's a good quantity and it's really nice, fun paper to use. So I will link her shop below also. So here we are in the second signature, and there's a raccoon washing his hands, and another piece of that tissue paper and some lace. Some birds stamped up there, and this is kind of a tan scrapbook paper that I had, and I stamped it with corrugated cardboard to make the lines. There's another of the tree papers, a bunny and a fabric tag, and just some stitching down the side. Fabric collage there. This is a little piece of flannel fabric. There's a little chipmunk from that Woodlands Animals fabric, and then this is gathered plaid, and I let it hang off the edge there. There's a little tab. Some owls. This is seam binding and a piece of the green fiber, yarn fiber that I sell in my shop. And there's the center of the next pocket, and this has a card in it with a bunny. Again, this is Ephemera's Vintage Garden. And I like the fact that the other side of this paper has ledger for writing on. This is an image from the nature book, one of the nature books that I used, of a tree. And it's stitched to card pattern paper and a little piece of lace. An index card stamped, and then this is a little tag that I cut with my Cricut, and it has a quote from Martin Luther: "God writes the gospel not in the Bible alone, but on trees and flowers and clouds and stars." There's a deer. If the bunny was Thumper, that must be Bambi. This is a children's nature book, which I have several pages, a couple pages at least in the book. It was pretty bright on this side, and to tone it down, I just put a piece of this craft paper from Lori's shop and stamped a tree on it, and just made it so you can flip it up. You can write on that. I love this. Isn't that pretty? Cute little chipmunk up there. This one has, again, the stamping with the corrugated cardboard and a little fox stamped on a punch out. And another piece of a different linen, and it frayed quite easily, so I zigzagged along this edge where I had cut it, and then of course it zigzagged at the top. But it's another butterfly, another owl image, coffee dyed file folder piece, and then the third signature has this little bunny chewing on a tree trunk. Some more tissue paper. This one is just a pretty paper with some birds, and I put this gorgeous lace at the top and then stamped with the cardboard. I love this box, and there's some gathered fabric up there. This is just sewn along the top there for journaling. This fabric is wrapped around the edge of the paper, and then this is just stitched right in with it. This stamped vine. There's a stamped bird, which I love. Here's an image from the book Bambi, the original book by Felix Salten, or Salter, I can't remember. And a piece of vintage lace up here. And this also was coming apart where it was cut, so I zigzagged it down both sides. Here's an index card with some leaves, and this is just a scrap of the scrapbook paper. And in the middle of the third signature, there's an owl there. I've gone over 15 minutes, but I'm hoping that this will upload okay. There's a tree stamped down there. I love this tree paper. I think I'll be using that quite a bit. Another Tim Holtz piece of ephemera there. Cute little ducky. And another envelope with a tag tucked in there. Piece of Tim Holtz ephemera, a scrap of the scrapbook paper. And I didn't have another doily piece with the butterflies. I had more of what I used, the same ones, but I just added this really nice piece of a doily that I cut out and stitched on top of some green fabric. This will have a library card inside, and maybe some more of the scraps of scrapbook paper. So Rose, I hope that you love this book, and I'm hoping to make another similar book that I can put in my shop. So tell me what you think. Leave a comment below, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.